Okay.
Good to go? Mm-hmm. All right, everybody, thank you for being here tonight. It's May 5th, 2025. You're here at the Town of Poolesville Commissioners Meeting. We just emerged out of closed session to interview candidates for our Planning Commission. And thank you to all the commissioners for being there for that, as well as town staff and the candidates that are in the room. Appreciate everybody being here and appreciate everybody that once again applied for a Planning Commission job. Today we started off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to kick it off. And so if everybody could stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for that. Appreciate it. Commissioner announcements and committee reports. We'll lead it off. Ed, not Ed. I say Ed, but then I look down at Alan. Alan, can you go ahead and lead us off?
I can go, yes. Actually, we have a Parks Board meeting on Wednesday to go over a few things from last month relative to the dog park location. But until we have that meeting, I will have a more detailed report on the 19th of our commissioner meeting. Again, town continues to maintain the parks with the weather, considering all the rain. Always good to see Preston and the crew taking care of everything, keeping it nice and clean, cut well. We completed the sidewalk over Westerly, or Willard,
West Willard.
West Willard, at the corner. And so the kids, ironically, I was coming back from the high school today, and I saw at lunch a bunch of the kids using the sidewalk, which was
Yes.
nice, instead of walking kind of into the lane.
That's good news. Did you hear that, guys?
Yes.
They're using it.
We're good. But, yes, so, again, we have some appointments for the Parks Board. We got to discuss, but we can do that in a little bit. But, yeah, that's my report.
Very good. Alan, any questions for Alan from anybody? Brian, take us through Planning Commission.
Planning Commission meets next Wednesday, the 14th of May. We have two agenda items to my knowledge. We have the water allocations discussion, which will be good to have the water report that we just got last meeting, and discuss with them. And then the variance for Grace Colleges regarding driveway access.
Correct. So the property has two, originally, under the original plan, would have two driveway accesses, but the state of Maryland, SHA, denied one of the accesses. So there's a provision in the code that deals with driveway accesses. So there's a variance regarding that.
Understood. That's my report.
Gotta love it that we do all this planning and then it's just like, no, you can't do that. So that's great of them to do that. Thank you for that, and look forward to the Planning Commission meeting as time goes on. Ed, do you want to take us into Sustainable Poolesville? And then I know Sarah's going to finish up with fair access.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for the Sustainable Poolesville, we just continued. We went through our project updates in terms of the Pick It Up Poolesville. Speaking of Pick It Up Poolesville, they came out on Sunday morning after the Spring Fest, and they went through to do some cleaning up out there, picking up things. Then we talked about our zero waste project that's happening. That's moving right along. And then continuing to look at opportunities for community composting exchange, how to get people together, as I said those who want to compost, but those who want compost and those who want to compost but don't want the end product. So that's still work to...
So they want to compost, but they don't want to
Right, so
compost,
you might
compost
want-
on site?
Yeah, they don't need it. So if you got stuff you don't want going into the landfills, but you know other people can use it for their own composting, their own gardens and so forth, then connecting those who want the compost.
Cool, good.
Are you connected? I got an invitation for a composting workshop tomorrow at the library. Is that with anything you guys are doing?
No, but I could pass it on to Don if you
Yeah?
send it to me.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Very good. Sarah?
Fair Access Committee. Well, this last week, we had several of our committee members go to Black Rock Center for what was supposed to be the county executive in hosting a listening session on the budget. He was unwell, so it ended up being Rich Mandolino, who is Mark's chief deputy. And immediately when he got on the stage, he recognized our signs and called out Poolesville and their committed persistence on the pool bubble and community center, which we take that as a compliment. And then they broke us up into, or they offered these sort of like sit-down roundtables with different committees. And so we divided ourselves, the four of us, up and spoke to folks from Parks and Planning, from the Rec Center, from OMB, and the environment, and transportation. That was it. Anyways, we had some good conversations. It is not likely that our pool bubble will get into this year's budget, but we're working either on the next year's or I did speak with someone from OMB about sometimes projects for other reasons get delayed, and so they're able to insert or move up other projects. So I told her all the reasons why both our community center and the pool bubble should be moved up, all that we are doing, all that the state is doing to put in funding and resources to make this happen. And so she made special note of that. I told her I'd reach back out to follow up with her. We'll see what we can do to at least be first on the list for next year's budget, if it doesn't get moved up sooner. And then our next meeting will really focus on the Poolesville Day Breakfast. We'll start reaching out to different representatives, lining up who's going to be coming and joining us. We've got a fantastic video that is going to be going out in the next week or two. And we had, I think it was Jim and Link with Lily Chi when they signed the bill recently.
Right.
To fund research on economic development in the Ag Reserve. We're excited about that. Mm-hmm. And we're also kind of monitoring the next rollout of Office of Grants Management's funding. We'll make sure to help support, especially our Poolesville seniors, to make sure that this year's funding round is more transparent and that we get our needs met. So that's it.
Then just add one thing to it. We also talked about the importance of getting residents from this region on some of the county committees. And so that's really important that we have different residents from this region on those countywide committees. And so they're going to be, they're anticipating some openings, I believe, in May for the up-county region for that advisory committee. So it'd be important for those who might be interested to pay attention to what's going on and to apply to be a part of that.
Yeah, that would be great. Local representation would be awesome.
And just one more thing, the meeting that we went to at Block Rock, I was surprised at how low the turnout was. Yeah. And the turnout was very low, but we came in and then it was mentioned that Poolesville is always very organized and strong when they go with the advocacy.
It's great. Yeah, way to go. Thank you, team members, for showing up and being a part of that. That was very good. The only thing I would say, in addition to the other testimony from Fair Access, is we are working on converting part of Poolesville Day into being essentially that northern end of town as being a ag central. And so we're waiting for the Montgomery agricultural producers to meet to have further discussions about being able to make sure that they can commit. We know it's a bad time, Poolesville Day, right in the middle of harvest. But they are coming together and trying to figure out a way that they can support us as time goes on. So, can we get a commitment from you back there, Bobby, on this already?
Yes, I commit to everything you want, Jim.
Thank you. Exactly. That's I just was checking to make sure.
Quid pro quo.
No,
It's not.
I was just making sure you were listening, and on top of it, you jumped all over it. So I appreciate that. Now, so we're waiting to hear back from the Montgomery agricultural producers to hear what they have to say about it. But otherwise, it does look like this end of town potentially is going to be converted into a tribute and honor area for our agricultural partners in this area. So that's exciting. We've got some big plans, but we need to make sure that we're we're doing the right thing by the farmers. And then, Link, I don't know if you wanted to give any further update on Canal Town without John Woltz being here, but you're welcome to it if you want to. I know I catch you off guard here, but thank you. I know you can handle it.
The Canal Town, there's a group called the Canal Trust, which actually helps support the C&O Canal. It's a nonprofit group. It's been around for about 16 years. And they also help support canal towns, which, as you know, we're a member of. They have two guys now. Mike Mitchell is one of them, is an old friend of mine. I actually hired him when I was in Congress, so he's a really sharp guy. He's trying to up their game and trying to get them more active, both in terms of getting more public notice and more public visibility and political connections. So we had a meeting with him for a couple of hours, just kind of going through some of the things we've done in fair access, what members we knew, how we could introduce them to them, that kind of thing. He's going to come back with a plan, but I'm really encouraged by it because the Canal Trust is actually pretty influential. If they get themselves organized, they could be helpful to our town, too, in promoting things we're doing and also promoting what the other towns are doing. That's part of what they're trying to do. So it was a good meeting.
Good. Yeah. Thanks for the update. And again, we thank John Woltz for really being an important liaison for us with the Canal Town and the Canal Town Trust folks. So I appreciate that. And I'm sorry you couldn't be here tonight. Thanks for all the committee reports. Any questions from the commissioners regarding reports? Nope. All right. So this is the time for public comment. And I see that at least I know Bob Roy was trying to come in.
Yep.
And then we have some. Oh, right. Gotcha. Thank you. Appreciate that. So what further technical reasons do I need to do in terms of the closed session that we just had? I announced that we had it.
Mounted on the decision that was made.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Yeah. And the commissioners, we interviewed candidates for the planning commission tonight in our closed session prior to this meeting, and a vote was taken, and a decision was made, and the candidates will be alerted to who is the winner, who gets to serve on the planning commission tomorrow once we gets a chance to notify everybody. So did that meet my requirement, town staff?
That's fine.
So, translation, not all the way, but good enough, I guess. Okay, very good. So I see that we have Bob Roy. Looks like he's online. Is there anybody else that's online?
No,
that wants
he's
to
just
come
the
on?
only one online. Do you want me to bring him in now?
Yeah, so this is the public comment about this. We've already had our public hearing on the budget. We will have a little bit of budget discussion here under old business shortly. So this is the public comment time period of our meeting. If you want to bring him in, and then we'll get the two people that are here in person.
All right, Bob, if you can hear us, you're on now.
There we go again.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob,
You're muted, so if you could unmute. Yeah, there we go.
All right.
I just got a couple of comments that I wanted to make relative to the budget. Hang on a second.
Do you want us to come back to you, Bob, or are you just organizing on the
Can
computer?
you hear me?
We can hear you just
We can
fine.
hear
You- Yep.
Okay. I've got just a couple of comments to make relative to the direction of the budget and everything else. If you look at the state, they're running a hell of a deficit and they're increasing fees. The county is proposing you there?
Yeah, we can hear
The
you.
county proposing a tax increase. You all have raised the water rates. You're really going to raise the taxes. And I think it probably needs to take a look at what you're doing relative to the community activities and the grants. I mean, there's a chunk of money there that can be chopped down a little bit and try to get in line with the overall reduction philosophy, because I haven't got my assessment and tax bill yet, and that's going to probably be up. So there's five things that you're in my pocket for.
Fair enough. Understood.
You know, I just appreciate somebody take a very close look in the future budgets for those particular items. They are not necessarily bringing into the operation of the town.
Understood. Bob, just I hear where you're coming from, but as you know, and I know you've taken a hard look at our grant process as well as where our potential grants are being allocated. And the town has a commitment to build community. Sometimes that costs a few bucks, but it also doesn't mean it's permanent bucks, and it doesn't mean that it's that money we're going to spend this year that we're going to spend next year.
Going year to year the same things, and in some cases there's increases, especially in the community area. So I'm just think, you know, I'm getting some ways this year on a tax increase, and I think it's a little absurd that the town cannot take a very close look at those items.
Appreciate it. Questions from the commissioners for Bob? No?
Nope, I'm good.
Anything else, Bob? Thank you for, again, bringing that to our attention. We appreciate it.
No, that's all I've got. I'm just getting frustrated with the increases, that's all.
Well, if it helps matters at all, you can know that we're going to be pushing back on the increases from the county and the state, and we already have, which has a far greater impact on your taxes.
You know, I mean, yeah, I don't think you're going to get what you're expecting, and that's going to lead to other issues.
I fully take your opinion into account, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I've expressed myself, but thank you for letting me have the opportunity.
Well, we love having you on board, Bob, and we always appreciate your sober commentary. Thank you. Appreciate it. Are you going to stick around for the rest of the meeting?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Go back on mute then. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good stuff. That's Bob Roy, you guys, longtime Poolesville resident. Much appreciated, and I appreciate the commentary too. Next up, in person, is Jerome Klobakowski.
Jerome Klobakowski, 17300 Fletchall Road, Poolesville, Maryland. Two things for the good of the order before I really get into what I want to talk about. Poolesville Daniel Jeffers American Legion Post 247 will conduct a Memorial Day ceremony on the 26th of May at noon at Wayland Commons at the flagpoles. All Western Montgomery County residents are welcome to attend. And the second thing is, at the last meeting, I was down at my daughter's and I was watching the meeting on YouTube, and the voice levels of Kathy Mims and Pat Hammond were horrible. You couldn't hear what they were saying. I don't know, Kathy either didn't have the microphone close enough to her face or what, and Pat was sitting over here talking, and you couldn't hear him. And then also, whatever Kathy had up for slides, they were unintelligible. They were just white. So I would recommend that, you ask people to, one, sit at the table for as long as it takes, and also ensure that their slides are visible to the public who are Zooming or YouTubing in. Okay, now, what I'm really here about is I'm concerned about the water that was discussed at the last meeting, and I'm also concerned about the prices of the homes. We were told that the homes over here, at least as I recall, were going to be like 500 grand. Now I understand they're 800 grand. And the homes, the townhomes by Tractor Supply are 700 grand. They're not middle-income homes. That's really more than I expected them to be, and I think a lot of other people, everyone I've talked to said they're sort of flabbergasted by the cost. The second thing on those homes is the idea that just because you have a townhome, they're going to use less water than if you have a single-family home, regardless of whether you have a large or small lawn, because some people have large lawns and they don't bother to water. But if you have a family of four, and if you have a couple of people like I had in my household who seemed to turn the bathroom and the shower into a rainforest when they left, it was like 325 gallons was easily could be gone through. And so regardless of what size the home is, the gallons per day, in my opinion, is insufficient. Because if you calculate it out based on the current assignments of 325 for single family and 275 for the townhomes, you're coming out with like 37,000 gallons a day, 11,100, 1,113,000 gallons per 30-day month, and 13,350,000 gallons per year. All the wells we've had, in looking at them, we've had like 10 wells that produce either 50 gallons or lower. That's their sustainable pumping. And I think that we're at a critical point. And if we can't supply the water, regardless of whether they have the taps or not, we shouldn't allow anyone to build. And I thought that what would happen was we would bring homes online and we would see, how many gallons per minute some of these homes would use before we went on to the next stage. And just putting 120 homes coming online in 1 year, that's a lot. Now, if you increase that townhome to a regular single-family home, then you're talking about a 39,000 gallon per day, 1,170,000 gallons per month, and 14,040,000 gallons per year. So again, size home does not mean they're going to stick to this amount, unless you're going to go in there and have a valve that shuts off when they reach a certain amount for the type of house they are, which I doubt you'll do. All right, and where are the Donegan and Willard wells? Every development that's come online was supposed to bring a well with them. Where are those wells to bring in to support the homes that they're building? I find that really ironic, irresponsible, really. I hope they are searching for water somewhere else, and that if they have well sites, are consulting with our town hydrologist to verify before they start drilling, like we used to, that was a good spot to drill with a good chance of bringing in a good producing well. The other part of my thing is with respect to the Cattail Road well that was mentioned last meeting. As I recall, the cost of the infrastructure to connect that line up to our existing system is not cheap. It's rather expensive. So that's a consideration, I think, when you bring in wells as well, as to where it's going to go and where's the closest place you can hook up. Now, Wade would know more about that than even I would. And then the last thing is on the budget. You got $2,500 going to the Poolesville Pride, $2,500 to the Hope Ballet, and I've mentioned how I thought that with respect to Hope Ballet, that they should search in the area some theaters or go to the high school and see if they could produce some of these stage settings that they want. But the bottom line is, okay, you got $5,000 you're giving out. That was the amount, the maximum amount we used to give out for our grants. So now we got that $5,000 for the Hope Valet and the Poolesville Pride, and now we have mini grants for another $5,000, which is $10K. And then, why do we need a $115,000 bouldering park? I don't understand that at all. And then I also concerned about liability, I think, which I mentioned before, and that's $10,000 in this budget. And then the strangest thing of all is Riverworks, $25,000. And it's listed under municipal building. We sold that to David, and I can never, Thiebel? Terrio. We sold them that. So how did that all of a sudden, on that property, become a Poolesville municipal building, which we're going to support to a tune of $25,000? And then also, again, HMD, that was supposed to be like a one-time or a couple-year thing, and they fixed the place up, they'll help them get it on its feet, and then walk away. And it seems like now that's become a municipal building as well. So I think basically, and as Bob Roy said, you're raising the water rates, you're raising the tax rate, the property tax rate. The county doesn't know whether they're going to raise, they wanted to raise the property tax rate, but the county exec said, now, no, we're going to increase the income tax rate. The state's going to probably increase something, and God knows what's going to happen at the middle part of this year towards September, when a lot of the stuff that's going on down in Washington really hits the fan. And will receipts to the state, the county, and us be at levels that can be sustained or that we are planning on as within this budget? And one last thing is, I have to assume that as the draft budget has the Maryland Highway User Funds at $486,485 and the Maryland Tax Duplication at $613,810 are remaining the same. Because the last time I thought, we weren't sure that was going to be the case. So are we now certain that that's?
We received a notification, and no, we're not certain.
Thank you, Wade. I appreciate that.
Jerry, I know you said last thing, but I want to address a couple of these things, and I apologize for the engagement and prolonging the testimony. The prices, so how do you propose that we tell the people what prices to charge for the houses? How do you propose you do that? I know it's fair for you to just mention it, but how do you propose that we do that? Because I'm ready to write it
I
down.
don't know, I would expect that we would have entered into a conversation in that we were talking at the time that these would be for approximately $500,000. And the assumption, bad, I know, this is what the word assume means. A lot of people assumed that the prices were going to be around $500,000.
Well, this is back when your house was worth $400,000. Your house is worth $700,000 now.
It is?
Probably pretty close to it. So do you want us to tell those guys they still need to charge $500,000 because your house went up by
All I'm saying
$300,000?
is that there was a lot of information put out that it was going to be, they were going to be starting at $500,000. Now, it's just like any house. You go into any development, new development, there's always a starting price. And then
We know how it works. I want to get to the next
and all that
subject.
stuff, so the price goes up.
So well usage, you mentioned that, and we have a historic model for townhouse use versus single-family home, and I believe that model's held up consistently over the years. Am I missing that?
No, it definitely does. The size of the house does have a lot to do with,
Like, we have data that informs that.
data does it, yes, it does.
Just double checking that.
You'd ask about,
Okay.
well online with that one. That was part of the 409 homes that were on the 1998 allocation plan as part of bringing the Kettler well, the Winchester well, and the Westerly Grove well online. All those are encapsulated in the 409 homes, and that 12,749 gallons that goes to that property was captured in that.
Okay.
Also, then, I just want to keep it moving here. So budget for the first of all, cattail, we're working on a model for the cost to bring the cattail well online. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. That answers that. Budget for bouldering. Give me some background real quick on how the Parks Board came to this and this why we include in the budget.
Certainly. So it was now 2 years ago, I think, when this idea of having a bouldering park, we had a meeting, we had a lot of interest from the community in having a bouldering park. We have not yet gone into anything further than just having the idea. There's questions about where it should be located, all of those different sort of things. So this was sort of more of a long-term item to see where we could end up, but we haven't yet done all of the fine-tuning of where that potentially could be.
And do we know that there is an increased liability, according to Jerry, that there's an increased liability for the bouldering park that we have to take into account?
So in the discussions I had with Legit, it's sort of the same as what is the skate park. It's because it would be a facility that would be at your risk as someone who would be engaging in it. And that would be, there'd be signage to that effect, which there is at the skate park, that would state that. And that is how this type of equipment is handled in sort of standard liability policies.
Thank you. And just to close it off with, and I appreciate the commentary on the budget. In terms of Riverworks and HMD, these buildings that are these are investments by other groups that are doing what they can to bolster community inside Poolesville. And that's the reasoning behind that we're making this contribution to them, because they're actually investing and have invested quite a bit of money. Riverworks has got $2 million worth of funds raised in order to kick off what we think is going to be a very important part of the town, our cultural arts zone. So while I get it, that you're potentially against, or you want us to relook at those budget items, but I can also tell you that they're not assured for the future. They're this year, and that, like any of our grants, they're for this year only. There's no legacy grant scenario that's out there that talks about how much money people are going to get each year. Each grant is looked at individually and is something that we take into account what the contribution is going to be from those entities to our community. So I appreciate the feedback on it. And maybe, like Bob, I'm sure may never go to the community center, but that doesn't mean that we didn't fight hard to get the community center in place for the other residents.
I have no problem with the community center. What I have, though, is, again, Riverworks last year came in with a request for $100,000.
Right, and that's regardless.
We gave him 25, and I
Right.
said last year, so what are you going to do? You're going to give him 25 this year, 25 next year, and 2 more 25s the following year?
Nope, I
And-
don't see that happening.
You don't see that happening?
No, I don't. I don't think any of these are legacy grants.
Okey doke.
I really don't. So
Well, next
I'll be here next year
next
for one more year. You can ask again.
Okay,
Let's see what happens.
all right. Very good.
And I appreciate your, your direction towards fiscal responsibility. You always gave that to the commissioners, and I appreciate that.
Okey doke.
All right, very good. Anything else, Jerry?
Thank you, lady and gentlemen. Have a good evening.
All right.
Thank you,
Jerry.
I hope I didn't
Appreciate it.
scar you any.
Appreciate it.
I heal quickly.
Yes. Tom McCaskill, you are next up, sir. Thank you. And I'm speaking to the microphone thanks to Jerry, and we are going to do something about that. Well, I think we need a handheld. So,
We have a handheld, but we can work on that.
I thought Kathy had one in her hand.
No, she was using this one.
Okay, okay, that was the.
Yeah, yep.
yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up. And you're absolutely right. That's something we have to do something and figure that one out. So, thanks. All right, Tom, you're up, sir.
Great.
Give us
How you
your
doing?
name and
Thomas
address.
McCaskill, and I live at 117 Spates Hill Road. Thanks for having the water meeting last week. That was great. Thank you for letting both of the water hydrologists speak. I'm actually just commenting because I saw something in new business about the brick and water allocation request, and I'm just asking, is that about a new development trying to be built? Do we know?
Town staff.
Yes, it's one that's under review, yes.
Under review, okay. So that's all. I'm just, please, be careful what we allocate. That's all. That's all I want to bring up.
Well, I appreciate you.
Building, I'm not.
We appreciate your past contribution on this, Tom. And as everybody knows, we've met with Tom several times. We appreciate your caution and your, as well as the contributions from your meeting and the last meeting. And they are duly noted and taken under consideration.
Okay, great. That's it.
Questions for Tom? Anybody?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it
No.
up.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Okay, that's all we have for public comment at this time. We have the minutes from our meeting on April 21st that Tom was referring to. Did everybody have a chance to review them? Does anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the April 21st meeting.
Second his motion.
Oh, way to go, Ed. Way to recover. Motion made by Brian for the approval of the minutes of April 21st. Second by Ed. Any other questions, changes, comments? All in favor of approval of the minutes of April 21st meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Very good. Thank you. That motion's been approved. Old business, ordinance number 228, FY 2026 budget and tax rate. I want to lead off, just like I said in the email or the post that I put out this afternoon. I want to thank all the residents for their commentary and contributions towards helping us establish where we are right this second on our budget. So Wade, you're going to take it from here?
Sure. Yeah, so just to recap, we've been through the development of the budget with staff and Jim, and then work sessions with the rest of the commissioners. We've introduced this on April 7th, did our legal advertising that we needed to, held the public hearing on April 7th, no, on April 21st, rather. And we did receive a request at that meeting from the Poolesville Area Chamber of Commerce. Tom Kettler came up and testified and requested $3,500 for welcome bags and different things for the chamber. And that is included in the draft that you have presented to you this evening. And also, we had a follow-up request from Hope Garden Ballet to increase the grant from the original 2255 to 2500 to purchase chains to secure the curtains. Now, I've not included that in this particular budget, but we do have a $5,000 line item for mini grants for the rest of the year. We could certainly take the money out of there so we wouldn't have to reconfigure any other numbers and just make it work that way. So and that could just be adopted as part of the budget when you make your motion and the ordinance 228.
So the original, and I know this is in our budget, the original amount requested by the chamber was,
3,000. Oh, well, last year there was 3,500. Yeah.
right, and this year?
3,500.
And it's up to 3,500.
Correct.
So it
Yes,
depends on
exactly,
how
because of
many
the,
representatives.
And does that include the cost of paying for the representatives to attend the
Yes.
the packed dinner?
Yeah.
Correct. I just want to make sure of that. Very good. And then the Hope Garden Ballet, their budget request went up by like $245 or
it's like
something like that?
$1,000.
No, like 1,000? No, weren't they like
No, it
20?
was
Total.
It only went up by like.
Like 245.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
245.
Yes, yes.
245.
That's right, I'm checking you, man. I'm checking you. All right, very good. So thank you for that. So the only changes that we've made from where we've had our public hearing and the conversations that we've had when we had our budget meeting as well, and when the budget was presented a couple of weeks ago for consideration by the public, is there any other changes to that we need to make a note of?
Not at all.
Okay, so we're at that point in time that if there are further conversations to be had for this, we're going to call for a motion, and then a second, we can have conversation if we need to, as far as that goes. Do I have something official I need to read out of this? I don't have to read the whole.
No, you did that at the
No,
public
you did
hearing.
that last time. Yeah.
Thank you for remembering. So I need to have a motion for approval of ordinance 228, the FY 2026 budget and tax rate.
I motion that we approve ordinance 228, the fiscal year 2026 budget and tax rate increase.
Motion by Sarah. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second from Ed. Further discussion. I know this isn't like beating a dead horse. This is something that we talk about like over the course of 3 or 4 meetings, budget work sessions, et cetera. And I know everybody's familiar with it. And I had to stress to people online today, we read it line by line. To the public,
We do.
we read the budget line by line. We review it line by line. We understand it as best we can, and we appreciate the work of Town Hall and town staff in putting the budget together, and your knowledge on it as well. It's critical. So we have a motion, we have a second. Does anybody have any other changes or conversation or questions on it? No? Okay, we have a motion, and we have a second, and we'll have a vote. All in favor of approving ordinance 228, FY 2026 budget and tax rate, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? We have a budget. Thank you, town staff, and let's hope that, as Jerry said, that we get our highway user funds and all the other money comes in like it's supposed to come in. Thank you for providing clarity on that this evening, too. Appreciate that. All right, new business. Mid-Atlantic Builders is here to have a conversation with us and do a presentation. We welcome you. Thank you for being the latest member of the Poolesville community. Come in and identify yourself and tell us who you are and what you're doing.
Thank you. Is it this side? Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Tim Hartman. I'm with Mid-Atlantic Builders. I'm the Vice President of Land Operations. And I am responsible, good or bad, for the subdivision. That
good.
Mid-Atlantic is involved in. Actually, I'm not responsible
yeah.
for the subdivision, but I am responsible for Mid-Atlantic's involvement in it, which actually I think is going to be a beautiful subdivision. We are well underway. We've submitted permits for the model, and weather permitting, timeframes permitting, we believe actually we'll be paving the initial kind of, call it the first phase, like the initial 20 lots. I don't have a plan. I could pull one up and show it to you, but I don't have a plan to demonstrate exactly what I'm saying. But the initial kind of 20 lots, 25 lots or so in the community by middle of June.
Wow.
So we've completed kind of the blasting operation, I think just about, if not 90% of the way
Good.
there.
Several of our residents will be happy to hear that. Appreciate that. Thank you.
That's always tough to blast, especially in a community like this. I've had to do it before, but this might have been one of the tighter kind of confinement areas where you have lots of neighbors around. So with that being said, we'll have a entrance monument hopefully being installed, a model starting kind of in the next 30 days or so. And with that with that, we'll kind of open up for sales, which we've started, but we'll be doing it out of the trailer here in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. And then by the time the model gets open, which we hope will be by the time Poolesville Day starts, and then we'll be open for sale and trying to kind of work our way through the community. We think that we'll sell probably 15 to 20 units between now and the end of the year, and you should start to see construction start to kind of sequentially work its way down through the site. And what you're going to see mostly, before I get in the architecture, is you're going to see us starting kind of from if you're looking at the site from Fisher Road, it's going to be mostly from the left to the right. We have traps, and we can't close those traps until homes are constructed, bio ponds are installed, and all the stabilization is complete on those lots. So once we complete like everything within a drainage divide, which is running left to right, then we can close each trap out within each drainage divide. So we're kind of working on that sequence. I've actually got a meeting this week about how to sequence this whole thing out, because it's kind of like front to back, but left to right at the same time. So very excited about it. I have some elevations I'd like to show you for our product line. I have very, very good elevations for our rear-loaded product, and I'll give you a little conversation about that. And I have average elevations for the front-loaded product. The rear-loaded product for us is what's coming online first. It's what we're selling first. It's going to be the first probably 25 units that we sell will be this rear-loaded neo-traditional garage in the rear of the house. And so they got pushed ahead, and I have that completed. The front-loaded elevations, which won't come on board until we kind of get into the second half of the community, they're designed, and but they're not like rendered in a way that I would present to the market. So I'm going to kind of give you an example real quick of what one looks like, the not great looking elevation, and then what that same elevation looks like when it's rendered properly, so that when I show you the front loaded stuff, you'll understand that it's not as good looking as it will ultimately be. So we've designed 6 products. We've designed 3 front loaded townhouses, and single families, and 3 rear loaded single families, and each one of those products has 3 elevations and then multiple color schemes. So you can build the same house 3 different ways with 9 different color schemes. It gets over, it starts to repeat itself over and over again. So on the right-hand side, you're going to see kind of the actual rendering of what the house will look like. And on the left-hand side, you see kind of the elevation pre-rendered. And I'm showing this to you because I have very nice renderings for our rear-load product, but our front-loaded product, I only have what you see on the left-hand side of your screen. So you can kind of see the difference of why one looks so much better than the other. But what you see on the right-hand side is really what the product design is going to look like. So I'm going to walk you through. We have, this was the breezeway in the farmhouse, and we did a farmhouse elevation, we did a craftsman elevation, and we did a third elevation for each one of these. I'll walk you through the 3 different product lines and the 3 elevations for each, and then I'll show you kind of the front-loaded stuff. But I wanted to start here because I think when I show you the front-loaded, it's going to look like what you see on the left, and obviously you can see how much better those elevations look once they're fully out rendered with the landscaping and kind of in a 3D format.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So I'll just start back at the beginning. So this is our breezeway, and this was the Cape Cod elevation. And this comes in multiple color palettes. So there's probably 4 color palettes for each product line. So you could buy this house, but it may come in a red, it may come in a blue, it may come in whatever set of schemes. That's not my it's really not my bailiwick. But nevertheless, I think the key components we did the 8-foot front porches, which you can kind of see the depth of the front porch here. We really did a lot to make these elevations look really kind of high end. Even though they're smaller homes, we wanted to make them look really, really high end. Big front doors, big trim, lots of windows, lots of open glass. The porches are all stone, and you can kind of see that the floor of the porch is a stone. So it's not just a stone face. It's a stone porch. There's a lot of what I would call, I spent my life in home building. I would call these kind of like not normal upgrades for a home builder, but this is kind of the standard for which we are bringing forward. And a lot of this is driven by the architectural guidelines that we agreed to with the Willards, but also trying to meet the architectural guidelines that was set forth through the overlay zone that was created for the community. So this was just the first, this was the Cape Cod of the breezeway. I've got a lot to go through, so I'm not going to continue to just beat this to death. This is the Craftsman style of the breezeway. Same feature, 8-foot porch, stone. It's all hardy plank or like the stuff up top where you see up here. This is kind of like a composite style shingle, which gives you that kind of Cape Cod look. Really, if you've ever been to Nantucket or Cape Cod, that's what everything looks like. It's got that shake style shingle.
I'm loving all the landscaping. They're what are they, quarter-acre lots, so that there's going to be another house somewhere in that picture.
Yeah, this is
I love that rendering.
If I'm being totally frank, you probably have a house where that other tree is at.
That's right.
On the right-hand side.
Good enough.
But,
good enough. It shows
the idea is that
the
from the front of this is kind of what it's going to look like, and then
Yep, that's beautiful.
there's
Good job.
houses behind you and probably houses next to you.
Right, both sides.
And so here was the farmhouse look. And again, there's multiple color palettes. I think I've even seen this in red. If you were to go to our website, you could kind of go through and you could pick whatever you want, at least for the rear load. The front load stuff's not linked yet. We're working on it. It'll be done here shortly.
Got it.
And so that's the third elevation of the breezeway.
So everybody gets it. Rear load means the garage is in the back, right? Yeah. So okay, good. Thanks. Sorry. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
So actually, most of these houses, when you look at them, have a garage that's kind of like completely detached. But one of these three, and I think it was the breezeway, actually has the garage kind of incorporated into the footprint. And it was because just trying to make a house that fit, and we really worked hard to kind of make houses fit within the footprints that were provided. So one of the houses had it's like it looks like a large house, but the garage is like incorporated into the footprint. So whereas you get the full footprint with all these other houses, and then the garage is in addition to, one of them actually has the garage kind of incorporated into it. So you're not getting the full footprint in terms of square footage. Again, this is the terrace. This is the Cape Cod model. There's that red elevation I was talking to you about. Same thing. This is the Craftsman version of the terrace. And then this is the farmhouse version of the terrace. So we're going to be able to offer these, all three of these, and pretty much all the elevations fit, right? It doesn't matter. Like if it fits the house, it will fit the elevation. The question is just going to be, what is the customer going to desire? What color pattern are they going to desire? And then what's next to it? Because what we don't want to do, and I think this is probably not just for us, but for the community as well, is repeat things over and over and again. So we're, having variety is going to matter. So like, even if you choose the same elevation, you can't choose the same color palette next to each other. You can't choose the same exact thing. It's gotta have some variation as you go through. It doesn't want to look like a military barracks, right? We want it to look like a community and have variation as you go up and down the street, and have some change in color and some change in structure, as you move up. We don't want it to look exactly the same.
Yeah. So Tim, just to clarify, is that's something that they've asked for a variance, or what are we doing on that? This
No,
is somehow,
variances had to do with just the slight overage into the BRLs of corners of houses and different things. It's totally different.
so the zoning variances that the sign is posted for is just for tweaking the positioning of houses, potentially?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
between, the variances are, the minimum is 1 inch, there's a variance where it's 1 inch variance, to the greatest change is a 5-foot variance of the ones that have been requested.
There's a 1-inch variance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Configuration of the lot really had a lot to play with.
John's out there with a slide rule, getting it together. Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. This is our veranda, and again, it's kind of the same theme. Just want to show you the elevation. This is the Cape Cod elevation. Whoops, I don't know what I did. This is our Craftsman elevation, and then the last one is our farmhouse elevation. So again, the idea here is, every one of these rear loads has the 8-foot deep porch, regardless of whether or not it sits on Fisher Avenue, regardless of whether it sits on any road. If it's a rear load product, it has an 8-foot porch, period, end of story. None of the elevations show porch rails. However, porch rails could be required based on code. So none of it shows it now, but
Right.
if it's required by code because
Sure.
of the height.
Height of the porch, right.
We would absolutely add it. So that is kind of the rear loaded product. Let me kind of switch over and I'll show you guys the front loaded. And it's not going to look as pretty, but it's the reason why I started where I started.
We appreciate that. Thank you for the explanation.
So there's 3 of them. We have the porch light. And this is, don't hold me to it, I think this is the narrowest of the front loads. And I think the Lanai and the Breezeway get a little bit larger. But this is the farmhouse elevation right here.
8-foot porch still?
No, these are mostly 5 foot. Some of them have like recessed doors. And
got
so
it.
like there's a portion of the porch that will be deeper than the 5 foot, but as a general rule, it's a 5-foot porch on the front loads.
Understood.
Yeah. Let me show you the Cape Cod elevation. They don't have it built yet, but you can kind of see here the different color schemes, and frankly, it's not super valuable, but just to kind of show you that there's like a tan and a brown and kind of like this, I don't know if I'd call that beige or like a light green, a dark gray and a light gray, and then a blue and a gray. And if I click on these, I think it will change. I'm not sure if they fixed this or not yet. Yeah, there you go. There kind of gives you another option of what it's going to look like. Once they finish building this thing, you'll be able to kind of go into our website and you'll be able to pick any house, pick any option, pick any floor plan, and you'll end up with a color rendering similar to what I just showed you for the front loads. And then this is the bungalow version of the house. Just give it a second.
Sorry to interrupt, Tim. So you said that, I think you said for the front load, so you'll be able to, if one of our residents wants to order one of the houses and it's a rear load, you'll be able to show them a rendering with the color?
Yeah, yeah. What happens is that if I had this built, they're in the process, Hierarch is the company that does this for us. They're in the process of building this out for us. If you were to go into my website right now, you'd be able to build out any of the rear loads on a program like this that shows you the renderings, shows you everything. And if you were to come into a contract with us, we'd probably send you to this and say, well, tell us which one you want. And you can play with this website like I have right here, except for when you finish with it and you pick everything, you'd end up with that. That's a rear load that has been
Fully done up.
right? So this is what you'd end up with. It's like, hey, let me give you the computer version of it, and then let me show you what it really would look like if we were to build it. And so that is what is being built out on the back end of these IT systems for the front-loaded units. That's not complete yet. Okay, and part of the reason I had us to push this back is because I didn't have them to begin with last month, and they're still working these things out right now on these last 3 houses. All right, let me go back to the porch light. And then, so this was the last elevation. This was the Craftsman elevation of the porch light. So there was 2 other houses. There's the Lanai, and then there's the Breezeway. And I think I might have them backwards. One of them is 38 by 40, and one of them's 40 by 40 between the Lanai and the Breezeway. So they're very close in terms of width and depth. I think the porch light was like a 32 or 36 foot wide by 45 foot deep, and it was really meant to just accommodate the lots that could fit the depth, but it couldn't fit the 38 or 40 foot wide product that we were offering with the Lanai
Right.
or the Breezeway.
And as you guys know, we have a max footprint for these houses, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, so-
and everything is
Max
designed
footprint.
within the 2,200 square foot.
Right, yep, thank you.
So here was the elevation for the farmhouse of the Lanai. Takes a second. There's the Cape Cod version. And then really wish I had the prettier renderings. These leave a lot to be
That's right.
desired.
This is the first any of us have seen this, so we're okay with this. Thank you for
Fair
the
enough.
background on it.
And then this is the bungalow version. So you can kind of see the roof pitch changes, you know, the porch, the way the porch is laid out kind of changes, the way the stone's done changes a little bit. All of this is real stone. There's no manufactured stone.
Not a quarter stone, it's a real stone.
It's a real stone. It's not, as much as I argued for it, and I won't say I didn't, we went with real stone instead of a cultured stone. So this will be, you know, legitimate flagstone, mostly gray and blue, you know, but there will be some browns in there occasionally. And then the last house to show you is this breezeway. I'm sorry. I showed you the town view, and I showed you the lanai. I didn't show you the porch light, did I? Actually, maybe I showed you both of these. Now I'm confused which one I didn't show you.
It's all right. I think we got a pretty good idea.
Regardless, they're all within the 2,200 square feet. I think we did offer, we have a master down in the rear loaded offering, which we were able to kind of do. We have a two-story foyer in one of the units. Nothing is really more than three. I think we might have 4 bedrooms if you get the master down. But other than that, it's pretty much a 3-bedroom, 2-bath community. If you finish the basement, then you could get an extra bedroom, an extra bathroom.
Yeah, are you offering walk-ups? Is that going to be,
It's not doable.
so no walk-ups, right?
Well,
Footprint too big?
No, you don't have room for areaways
Right.
on the lot. So it's going to be, you know, there may be some areaway wells, like, hey, I've got a bedroom, so there's like a little
Sure, of
window
course,
well there.
yeah.
But there's no room for areaways to come out of the basements, and there's no walkout conditions on the site.
That's fine. This is what the community wanted, so appreciate
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Other than that, you know, we're looking to build a pretty simple but kind of nice entrance monument with like a kind of like a light on top of it that would kind of sit right on the.
It's serve as like a beacon to call the ferry across the river?
Actually, it's kind of modeled after that, to be honest with you.
I
It's
don't know,
modeled
you know,
after,
like a lighthouse with
yeah, a little bit.
flashes.
It's got a
All
single
right.
light on top.
Oh, that's cool. Whatever, man, that's good. Whatever works. Whatever works.
Other than that, you know, we are really excited to be here, and you know, I've always thought very highly of Poolesville, and looked at this project 5 years ago with another builder, and when the project became available, I was happy to be part of it. So,
Well, we appreciate the due diligence of your company as well as the Willards helping to create a legacy product for their multiple generation family that's been a part of that land. And I know that it was very important to the late D to be able to have something as special as this being built in their name on their property. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for, you know, I know we, you know, with our village overlay, we, you know, force you to do a few things, but we appreciate you guys doing it voluntarily and, you know, coming up with a product that I think it's going to be great for the town. So that's great. I do have a question for you or John. Why are the sewers so elevated out there?
because we need to bring a bunch of dirt in still.
Oh, really? So there's going to be, that grade is going to be raised all the way up and those are going to be ground level?
So basically what's
Wow.
towards the back of the lot moves to the front of the lot.
Okay, I
See
got
where
it.
the manholes are at?
Yeah,
That's where the dirt's gotta go.
yeah, okay, well, that's pretty amazing. It's gonna be a lot of
We've
dirt.
got a bunch of dirt stockpiling back.
No.
We've been blasting.
I was gonna say, no winter, you don't have to blast past a certain point, because now you're just gonna be putting dirt somewhere else. I got it. You're filling in.
We got more dirt than we know.
Okay, good. I'm sure you do.
With you, sir.
No, I'm
Would
fine.
the town like
Yes.
to take,
Hey, speak to town staff.
ownership of 10,000 yards of dirt?
Yeah, we could probably find a use for it. All right, very good. So, you guys, questions here. That's a pretty thorough overview. That's what we were looking for. Appreciate you coming in and doing that. You guys, anything on your side?
I just
Guys?
want to make a comment that not every house will fit on every lot, right? You had to design houses to specifically fit.
We did. I mean, we designed 6 new products for the community, and trying to find a product size that would fit every lot was really not achievable. So we did have to design things to fit within. So I designed 6 houses, and it's 6 different footprints.
Remind me of the average lot size?
4,500.
4,200 something. It's, the minimum is 4,000, and I think the biggest one on the lot, which is lot 1, is 7,000. So I think it's somewhere in that range. And
Fifth of an acre.
Yeah. And so I just want to mention that because Jim said a quarter acre, and these are nowhere near a quarter acre.
Right, thank you
Oh,
for
not
that.
even
Appreciate it. I was thinking max, but you're right. Thank
Like an
you.
eighth.
Right, got it. Yeah, eighth. Yeah, well, what's an eighth? Between eighth and a quarter. Right, between friends, yeah. All right, very good. You guys, anything else? Look, so you're an active member of our community now,
I am.
and we appreciate you being here, but we also, we got high expectations.
I'm sure
So
you do.
you guys need to,
I
right,
expect to fulfill them, and I'm sure there will be some problem along the way, and I would.
it's all how you handle it.
Commission just
Right.
call us. I'm
Well,
sure Miles will call me.
You got the three main guys right there that are going to be watching your every move for the most part. Not that you need it, but developments can be easy or they can be hard, and it's better when they're easy. And when you guys are ahead of the game, so far it looks like you're doing really well.
We're trying.
Yeah, thank you. All right, anything else? While he's here, you guys? No, you can meet with him in private. You don't need this.
We'll see him in a few days anyways.
Tomorrow morning.
Anything else? Anything else, commissioners?
No, good.
Anybody else in the audience want to talk? He's here. He probably could take your order. What's that?
Jim, ask him, can your front porch, can you finish the front porch, like to put, casement windows and enclose that front porch area on the front, road, back road units? Could one do that?
Yeah. So you're saying enclose?
Sunroom or something.
Like,
Like
like screen them?
On those big front porches, the 8-foot.
Yeah.
Goes across, that would really make extra square footage, but if it were facing towards the sun, it would be a nice warm
Yeah.
space.
Go, look at Billy to raising the question that now has completely stumped town staff.
No,
So,
not at all. I said
Not
the answer would be no.
the answer is no.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the square footage requirement.
The square
Yeah,
footage.
yeah.
There you go. So you got your answer there. Big no.
You got a question?
Yes, sir. In the back. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Jim, so, if I'm doing the math correctly, 2,100 square feet, starting at 860 up to 900,000, sounds like you might have the dubious distinction of having the highest cost per square foot at $428.
Oh God.
You're a realtor.
Yeah.
That's good for homeowners, but it's a pretty steep price.
We have. I appreciate the commentary on it, and without offending our guest here today, we were shocked.
That's a dubious distinction.
Yeah.
You've raised the bar for price per square foot in town.
I will say this, and I appreciate the commentary on that too. Part of this is our doing, right? This village overlay zone makes these requirements. They are requirements, and that's the only way that we felt like that we could get a development that made sense for the center of town that would last 100 years. And that included hardy plank, included other aspects of this that we know add to the building cost. So that's the price is a casualty of that to some degree, and I think the market's going to tell these guys how the rest of it's going to go as time goes on. Yeah, dubious distinction. I get it loud and clear. All right, very good. So, are you pledging that you'll sell $700,000 houses? Are you pledging that right now? So we can, we don't have to be the dubious.
That there's no impact fees to pay.
No, we gave, we had a reduced impact fee.
I mean, if you give me 50,000 back in fees, then I could probably reduce it.
All right, you got to talk to the county about that one.
Facetious.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, hey, listen, that's all good. Any other questions from the audience for Tim while he's here? No? Okay, good. Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Nice
you all.
seeing you. Appreciate you coming in.
I
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, our pleasure. All right, so currently it's tied between the amount of Jamesons here versus town commissioners. So you can 5 each, 5 on a side. So whoever is representing the Jameson group, first of all, we appreciate all you guys being here as well as your contributions to the town. And come on in and identify yourself. Thank you, my friend.
I have my worthy assistant there.
Appreciate it. Yep, yep.
He's good looking.
Thank you for allowing me to speak with you this evening.
Man.
I'm Frank Jameson. I live at 20621 West Hunter Road, Bellsville, Maryland. I'm the president of Charles H. Jameson Incorporated, the owner of the 56.13 acre property located on the west side of West Willard Road, identified as parcel 630 on tax map CT 121, henceforward known as the Bricken property. On September 13th, 2023, a conditional preliminary plan was approved by the Poolesville Planning Commission based on the review and letter dated September 8th, 2023 from the town engineer Clark Azar and Associates and their employee John Strong to the Planning Commission. In said approval, a condition was added, which is number 5, that stated as follows: we recommend, quote, we recommend prior to processing the plats for the subdivision that adequate sewer and water services are available. That's Exhibit 1, end quote. In December of 2024, the Planning Commission granted Jameson a 1-year extension to their approved preliminary plan without change to the September 2023 plan. On January 8th, 2025, the Poolesville Annual Water Capacity Report was made available that stated in part the following: withdrawal permit 650,000 gallons per day, 3-year rolling average less 558,000 gallons per day, allocated less 38,035 gallons per day, and under review less 21,125 gallons per day, leaving net available water capacity 32,850 gallons per day. That's Exhibit 2. The net available capacity was after the Bricken property allocation of 21,125 gallons per day had been accounted for. At the time of the conditional preliminary plan approval, the only issue with withholding the allocation of water and sewer approval was the presence of PFAS in the town water supply. That included wells 2, 4, and 14. The presence of PFAS in well 2 has been mitigated during the warm months, subject to a 4-season building being constructed that is currently ongoing. So as to move forward with eliminating the presence of PFAS in wells 4 and 14, and to allow the Bricken property to obtain adequate water and sewer services, Jameson requested from the town a breakdown of the estimated cost to construct and install the necessary equipment on well house 4 to mitigate PFAS to both wells 4 and 14. The cost estimate provided by the town to Jameson on March 25th, 2025 was $650,000, Exhibit 3. Jameson agrees to fund $650,000 payable to the town of Poolesville at closing on the Bricken property with our contract purchaser. This expense would show as a line item expense to Jameson on the closing document subject to and held in escrow a written water and sewer allocation approval from the town for the Bricken property. Closing would not occur until such time as record plats signed by the town representatives had been executed. This requirement to close allows the buyer, Tri Point Homes, to provide for review to the town and other government agencies for their approval those necessary documents and record plats for approval and signature prior to closing by representatives of the town. This proposal solves two water problems for the town residents. It eliminates PFAS in wells 4 and 14 and brings back online two wells currently offline at no cost to the town. Additional benefits to the town is the freeing up of additional funds for other water or sewer-related expenses. The Bricken development will help the town reach its population ceiling as envisioned in the recently adopted comprehensive plan. With the completion of the renovated high school, the existence of crossvines, the Riverworks Art Project, the Streetscape Project, along with the 4 diverse housing projects, Ferry Crossing, Poolesville Crossing, Hart's Farm, and the Bricken property, in a town surrounded by the Ag Reserve, Poolesville will be the premier community of Montgomery County for many decades to come. I ask you to accept this gift from the Jameson family, who have been in this up-county community since 1809. We owned one of the first housing projects in the town after the installation of public water and sewer. That project is known as Wooten Heights. In addition, the land where the water tower and well number 2 are located were owned by Jameson. We have donated the land for a drilled municipal well and the sewer trunk line that serves Tama, Tama 2, and Brightwell Crossing on property we own on Cattail Road. We drilled at our expense well number 14 as part of our Westerly Grove subdivision and donated land as part of the roundabout at the intersection of Fisher and Wooten Avenue at the Wooten Woods Townhouse subdivision, and we are now willing to provide funds to the town to eliminate PFAS in wells 4 and 14, bringing them back online to the benefit of the town residents. The Bricken development will be the last major development in the town for the foreseeable future. Let us move forward with this common sense solution that helps provide safe drinking water in exchange for allocation to an approved subdivision. With that said, we propose the following resolution. We, the Commissioners of the Town of Poolesville, hereby approve adequate sewer and water services to the property known as the Bricken property upon the following conditions. That funds in the amount of $650,000 be paid by Charles H. Jameson Incorporated to the Town of Poolesville on or before such time as signed record as signed record plats for said property are delivered to Jameson or their assigns. That any and all documents, drawings, plats, etc., are immediately or as soon as possible delivered to the Town of Poolesville and their town engineer for review, comment, and subsequent approval. That all signed record plats shall be held by the clerk of the town until such time as the aforementioned funds have been delivered to the clerk of the town. The clerk of the town shall provide photocopy evidence or in-person review of said signed record plats prior to the payment of said funds as assurance to Jameson or their assigns of the completion of the record plats. I thank you for your consideration.
First of all, I appreciate that. In fact, I don't think anyone has ever actually ghostwritten a resolution for us, so I appreciate that right off the top. Well done, sir. Well done. Town staff, you have some commentary on this proposal?
Certainly want to take, Jay, take a look at it, obviously. And why it does have merit, I guess, for the, I don't know what kind of timetable they're looking at, because if you take a look at that exhibit of the water capacity plan, there were several criteria that the planning commission had laid out that why they weren't going to allocate any funds until several steps were done. And
Why we couldn't allocate allocations?
Water
Said
allocations.
funds?
Water, yes.
Yeah, sorry, allegations. Right.
They were not going to be granted until certain criteria were met. There was 3 or 4 of them in there. And 4 and 14 was one of the criteria.
Okay. So it would potentially help meet some of that criteria in order to
Potentially,
release the
yes.
future allocations of some additional water.
But the bigger picture is, what we heard last week also at the meeting, and you have 650-gallon permit, and the capacity report that we used and adopted January, the scenarios have kind of changed now. They're talking about, we've done a water capacity management plan with the state, and they've added drought conditions and different factors in that kind of reduced that a little bit. They're also talking about our watersheds and we had to reapply for our permit in '26, and Kathy kind of touched on this also. All these issues are going to be taken up at the next planning commission meeting and kind of weighed out, and Kathy's going to help us kind of develop, is that the right capacity plan? What we adopted, is that the true capacity that we have available, or is there other factors that we have to mitigate and take a look at? So many moving parts to this. It's hard to give you a straight answer of, can you do this or not right now?
Understood. But Frank, what do you have to say about that? Try to keep your language clean, sir.
Well, I was at the water plant also, and there were some things that I heard from Mr. Hammond in particular that I think need to be examined. Whether that increases your permit limit or not, I don't know. But he made a statement about exploring for wells in the dry Seneca Creek region and the Broad Run region. Now, the well on Cattail is in the dry Seneca Creek region. But I don't know of any exploration that's ever been done in the Broad Run region.
He had mentioned some, and I don't recall either.
I don't recall at any time that the Leet Farm is the only farm, or what Billy Willard owns. We call it the Leet Farm because that's who owned it. But that is, how big is that farm, Bobby?
About 260 acres.
That is pretty much all your western part of the town, past the swimming pool.
Right.
Is that farm. So I don't know if you can go look there or not. But, it's cavalier for me to say you have plenty of water. That's easy to say. Every time I come here, it seems to rain.
And we thank you for that.
Yeah, keep coming.
Right.
We want the rain.
But we want to help the town. We've been here a long time. It occurred to me one day when I was thinking about this, you have 14 wells. 3 of those wells, my family have been involved with. 2, 14, and the one on Cattail Road. So we've supplied 20% of your water to the town.
You're including Cattail on that inclusion?
Damn right.
Okay. Well, I may not agree with your math on that, but I get you.
Well, we can agree to disagree.
That's right. No worries. I just want to say that obviously the town is trying to take a very big picture look at future development and making sure that we're proceeding very cautiously as time goes on. And I do have trust in our town staff as well as our staff hydrologist to be able to give us the best possible advice, and also to have our planning commission be able to use that advice to help guide us into the future. So I'm really not sure what more we can do tonight besides thank you for your presentation. This is good for us to see. We don't normally see this. This goes to the, planning
I don't know
commission.
anybody else who's come to you and been willing to put money on the table in a public venue as we have. I don't. I really don't. I know in the allocation process that occurred many years ago, you had Winchester give, I think it was like 1.1 million.
Yeah, million.
Kettler gave about $1 million.
A little bit less, but yeah.
And we gave what you needed. We were the ones who gave you water. That's what you needed. So what we're doing tonight is willing to give you money to clean up a problem that you really have. You have 2 wells offline. 4 and 14 are offline, and we can get them back online. The redundancy of water is what I think you need as much as anything else. You need to have that redundancy, and 4 and 14 will give it to you. I have no idea what it's going to cost to do cattail. But I will tell you, and you all know this because you're smart people, henceforward, every well that you ever bring online is going to be expensive because you're going to have to go further out from the center of the town to bring that water in.
Understood.
If I were you, I'd take my money and run.
Well, we don't want to take it unnecessarily, but we do appreciate the offer, and we understand that the purpose of this meeting is to discuss that offer. And you can understand that right back. We appreciate it, and at the same time, I can't see the commissioners doing anything besides acting very prudently in terms of deciding if and when water allocation becomes available, and we'll be working through town staff and the planning commission to reach that. But you've made your offer known, and you're, I think it's made in the best spirit in terms of trying to provide a solution, and we appreciate that to you and your family, because you're probably dividing it up amongst the 5 of you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have questions for Frank Senior? Guys?
I'm just digesting all of it, and then I'm interested to see what comes out of that next planning commission meeting.
Right.
So we can get all the data together and then make a really good decision.
Right. Well, there will be decisions made, that's for sure. Thank you, Frank, for that. I really appreciate you coming
That
in.
water plan meeting that you had last meeting that
Weeks
you
ago.
had was quite good, very informative. I do have to agree with Jerry that if you're listening to that on YouTube, you couldn't hear what Kathy was saying.
This will be the last time that happens. We'll get better.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you,
you,
Frank.
everybody, for coming in as well. We appreciate it. Good seeing everybody. All right, very good. Thank you for that presentation. Parks and Streets Board appointments. I'm going to say Niles, I'm guessing.
I got it all right here. Thank you. So at the April 9th Parks Board meeting, the Parks Board considered the various applicants for the Parks Board. I believe there's 9 total.
10.
And they recommended to the commissioners the
Thanks, guys.
appointment.
Hey, take care.
The appointment of Mike Bupp and Ashley Springer, whose resumes you all saw, to the board. They also recommended that there's a high school student, Nicole Bobek?
Bosek.
Who applied, and the Parks Board would like to have them be sort of an unofficial, non-voting member as a sort of a liaison to our student community here in Poolesville. So for tonight, the appointment of Mike Bupp is to replace Pat Trainer for a 4-year term, and Ashley Springer to replace Doug McKinney for a 1-year term. He had 1 year left in his term when he resigned.
How did the Parks Board decide who gets the 4-year and who gets the 1 year?
So that was actually just, they didn't make a determination on that. That was just sort of to make it match, just with how the Mike Bupp was the
Terms
first
come in.
one
Right.
nominated or voted on, and Pat was the first one to resign, so it's just sort of going in line.
Understand. Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Okay, so very good. So the recommendation from the Parks Board has been to nominate Mike Bupp for a 4-year term, Ashley Springer to fulfill the remaining term of Doug McKinney.
Correct.
For 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's something that we're going to vote on.
Yes.
And then the ex officio member of nominating a student is just something we can do via consensus?
Yes, as long as there's no objection to that. It's not officially in the code, so it's not like it's an official position, but it signifies your support for their attempt to kind of broaden.
So let's work backwards. Is everybody good with have a consensus? Any objection to having the student member be a
Great idea.
shadow member of the board?
No, we shared a bunch of that during the Parks meeting, and I think it was just the anybody that actually applied that's in high school and wants to serve the community and their civic duty is impressive. Comes from a great family, very diligent, But she's, again, with all the Parks Board members, we thought it was a great fit, and looking forward to, future, as if we get the youth in, go away to college, we can see how this goes and move forward, because it's a great experience for a teenager to see how this town incorporates everything.
More of that.
And that's what Poolesville's about, There's nothing wrong with it. It was unanimous, too. I mean,
Okay, so
easily.
that's, we have a unanimous recommendation for the Parks Board. There's a consensus agreed upon by the commissioners to add it as an ex officio member of the Parks Board. Appreciate that, everybody. Can we do the two nominations, official nominations in one motion? So we have, I need somebody to make a motion to approve, again, Mike Bupp for a 4-year term, Ashley Springer fill out the remainder of the Doug McKinney.
I don't know if I can make the,
I was
because
gonna say, I feel like it's.
Well, you can make,
Wants to make the-
Yeah,
you can make the
can.
motion.
Yeah, you're just a liaison. Go
I
for it.
would like to make a motion to appoint, or to, for Mike Bupp to have a 4-year term, and for Ashley Springer to have a 1-year term.
I'll second his motion.
Motion made by Alan, second by Ed. Any other questions? Anything else to do? Nothing else to add? All in favor of those appointees, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Very good, and we have another grill team member at,
With an impressive resume.
yeah.
I gotta tell you,
when we actually
yes.
started getting food served at the meetings. Wouldn't that be right?
You know what? The opening of the dog park, we'll have a,
Oh, the opening of the dog park. We gotta wait that long? Is there some sort of tie-in to
I know,
it?
June 4th, we have the senior picnic that we'll be
Not
cooking
going
for.
there.
Yep.
Not
You know,
going there.
Employee Appreciation Day would be
Ooh.
great to have the commissioners cook for them.
Oh, there we
We
go.
can do that.
What? Oh, yeah, the commissioner, right, the ones that can cook. Right, yeah,
Well,
got
they need
it.
somebody to wipe stuff down.
No problem. I am the world's best cleaner-upper, I
Sounds like that's
promise.
part of that town manager report.
Yeah, let's segue into that. Thank you for that, and town manager's report. Appreciate it. Thanks. Oh, Alan,
I
go
was gonna
ahead.
say, do we need to make do I need to make a motion for,
No,
for Nicole?
no, because we did that
Consensus.
by
Yeah.
consensus. That's fine.
All right, very good. Thank you. Town manager's report.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Coalhouse water leaks. You've probably seen some announcements going out that, the brand new pipes over there are being fixed. And what it is some of the connections, the lateral connections, those are copper. They didn't tighten down the fittings tight enough on a couple of them. And all it takes is a little drip, and within a month, it's a spray, and then it's already the copper away. And so that's what we found. So there's been 3 of them, right, John? 4 now. So we're deploying our guys in the nighttime, because you can hear really well. We have listening devices, and we're going to comb the whole
This is our
area over
new,
there.
this is the new work that we did.
Yeah, so it's all under warranty, and the contractor's coming back, and he's fixing it and everything, so, and they're bonded.
Just to like
so-
identify where they are, you're helping them.
Yeah, so we're gonna go, yes, exactly, because the warranty will be up at some point, and we want to make sure that we find it.
Catch them all now.
Because, yeah, so if we, if we would have went out before the last one actually surfaced, we would have been able to hear it. So now we're being proactive about it. We're like, okay, 1 or 2 always happens with every new subdivision. That always happens. But we've had 4 already, so we're coming through it.
So the question I'm gonna ask you is a stretch, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. With that warranty, replacing the damage, what about, because it happened in the brand new pipes, the cost of the labor cost to go out and do the night work, would they cover some of that?
That's something we were gonna talk about, that and the cost of the water loss.
I mean, the whole thing.
I don't know
Yeah, the
yet
water's
exactly
valuable just
what
by
we can
itself.
recover on that, yeah.
The water, the labor, the parts.
They're doing all the labor and parts.
Yeah,
But-
for the actual repair.
But even the
But for
proactive,
identifying
Yeah.
the labor and proactive.
If we find a bunch,
identifying-
if we find some of the leaks, then yes, we certainly can. Justify that, added to it.
Right, sorry, oops. All right.
Talk about the PFAS lawsuits. We've had some settlements, and we received notification that we're going to get the initial payment from 3M in the amount of $129,000. And then we're still waiting for the final settlement payments from DuPont and Tyco and BASF, BASF. So everything's in process, and the suits have gone through. We've
Starting to see money.
Teams are, working out, so we're gonna. Class action? We don't know a total amount yet.
His class action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we joined it, It's been a couple
Early.
years now.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just about when I started. Yeah.
Jay advised us.
Yeah, we're like, Jay, are you sure this is something we should, he was like, guys, this is like the thing you absolutely have to do.
Yes. No options.
Yeah, no option.
Lawyer's getting rich somewhere off of that.
Oh, yeah. Third. Go ahead.
And then I talked a little bit on an email about working with Pat Hammond. Kathy and I have reached out to him. We're going to meet with him for the first time next week. And really, first is to discuss the drought yields that he had discussed and see if those numbers differ from what Kathy had in her report. And then also look at some of this well interference testing that he had spoke of that we should probably do, and maybe lay out an outline of how that should be done and when it should be done for, what periods and what wells and everything. So those are the first two things we're going to tackle. But we're trying to bring him in, and he's working at a rate that is like very, very cheap.
Okay.
Very cheap.
Okay, good.
And I think another thing that someone brought to my attention that they differed on was heat index versus days above 100 degrees. Or
No, he used Kathy's data, because Kathy said she used 30 days of 100 degrees. And then he had used her data.
Yep.
okay.
Then she said that, I forget what she said, and he was, I don't know, it was the whole thing.
Yeah. there's-
Anyways, we're going to iron all those things out and see, just see kind of where everybody lands. Still, the climate change model that he projected used her numbers, but then he added on top of it.
Thank you for the collaboration with everybody, both parties.
Given that we've heard from community members that they weren't able to hear Kathy, is there any way that she could almost like just re-record her report and the slides they said were blank too? So
The slides are on the website.
okay, so the slides are on the website. Is there any chance to have her record just a 15-minute, like go through them again?
I can ask her to.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. I listened to it for the first time, besides hearing it live. It was disappointing. And we got to do something different. We have to get the handheld microphone ready to go.
And not having people answer from the back, because Teresa.
Right now, and that's my fault.
In the back, she couldn't hear
Yeah.
me, so I was like,
Yeah,
well,
we could get the top
Like a
one.
big boom
Yeah.
mic. That doesn't work in.
we talked about doing that originally.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the things also is when she's presenting or anyone else is presenting, then we just hold all questions and comments until that person's finished presenting, and then
Have them come
Yeah.
up to the desk, ask them.
We know that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It is hard to.
It doesn't work.
so let me not be so diplomatic. If you don't like what she's saying, stop criticizing in the middle of the presentation. Let her finish saying what she has to say, and wait till someone says, wait till that pause. Does anyone have something?
Hence why one was 15 minutes, the other 45, because there was too much banter back and forth during a presentation.
I'm not faulting the presentation was good, guys. We just need new microphones.
presentation was good.
Let's not reinvent the wheel. We just need
The
microphones.
interruptions were not.
Now, some of them
We
were.
talked about it, we're definitely going to improve on it, so.
Some of those interruptions provided clarity. So, go ahead, Wade, keep going.
But there's misinterpretation.
Misinterpretation.
As I talked about last time, we're going to have the bids for electrical for Wayland Commons, and the bids came in, and they're just unacceptable. The price was $100,000 over what we anticipated from engineers' estimates. So we're taking a look at the scope and revising the specifications a little bit, and going to go back out to bid again.
The
And
never-ending
street sweeping,
saga.
that's going to happen tomorrow, our annual street sweeping, so weather permitting.
Can we, next year, get dedicated signs for street sweeping versus the sign that says Stop Poolesville Day, which is in several places?
I didn't see those.
Those signs are out
I
there.
was wondering.
It's the signs on the back side.
On the back of them.
They're reusing the signs, which I get it.
Parking signs or something?
We're being thrifty. But yeah, and there's a Poolesville Day stop, like where the.
Yeah, I did notice that at
Yeah.
first.
But it says
what they-
Stop Poolesville Day.
Right.
I'm like, of all the freaking things to protest against, now we've got to stop Poolesville Day?
From town staff.
Right. And it came internally.
Do we need to make a motion on that?
Yeah, we definitely need to make a motion on that.
No, it's because they got wet.
So Preston always gets,
so-
the, how little you use for everything, that was Preston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the distinguished person just being frugal, I
don't think
understand.
it's not appropriate for us to buy street cleaning signs that we can reuse.
Well,
Dates
it's because
change.
it's a different date.
So put a date on there, but if the date was.
We used to just make them because we had the machine to be able to do it, so.
Yeah, and we use the printer that we have, but it's a poster board issue.
You guys
I mean, we
don't.
can always
It's not raining.
No, they,
Let's not stop the Poolsville Day, though.
yeah. Heard that for several people.
Yeah.
So,
Do you guys have an electronic copy of this?
We will make one.
Okay, make sure, can we send it to Lexi as soon as?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
And just speaking of
That's
staff,
all-
can
that's all I have. He's worn
you
out.
just let the staff know they did such a great job with
done.
Spring Fest? There were so many things outside of their control, but I heard from a lot
Well,
of
it's
people.
Monday, so he's done for the week.
Yeah.
He's always good.
he's done for the 2 weeks. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
I second.
Motion made by Sarah, second by Brian. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. We are officially
All right.
Thank you all.
All right, it's not 10 o'clock. How about that?